Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience. I'm your host, Jordan James, also known as the Autistic Photographer, and I'm joined by my co-host and very best friend, Simon Scott.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode. This week we are talking about medical professionals and NDs not being taken seriously. Well. If it isn't Mr. Jordan James, another week, another episode. How are you, my friend? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just chilling and enjoying life in general, I would say. I'm playing a lot of video games. Got stuck on Red Dead Redemption 2 now, so I'm going to really enjoy that. And thank you very much for your mixtape.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the modern version of a mixtape. You sent me a Spotify playlist of like 4.5
Yes.
hours of country and western music that I'm now getting through as I go to the gym. I'm listening to it and loving it. Just absolutely loving it.
Well, you're very welcome, but you did ask for it. It was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
funny how you were like, oh, make me a playlist. I was like, well, it's going to have absolutely everything I can possibly think of in, and I keep adding songs to it because now I'm listening to it. So actually, if you want to go and listen to that playlist, I'll make it public. So if anybody's listening and they want to listen to my Ye MF half country music playlist, you're more than welcome to. I will put the
So
link
good, man.
in the description. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I used to
Sylvia
have a
loves it
job
too.
making music for shows and playlists and stuff, so it's nice to know that it wasn't all imposter syndrome. Good to know. So this week, guys, we're having a guest again, and this week we're being joined by Mr. Anthony Harding, and one of the reasons as to why we're talking to him is he is the subject of a documentary which is currently on YouTube, The Unmasking Man. And it talks about his experiences working in the medical professional, because he's an NHS employee, and talks about his experiences of genuinely how he was treated post-diagnosis, pre-diagnosis, and it's a fascinating watch. So the links for that will be in the description, but we've got Anthony here with us this week because we want to hear his story. So hello, Anthony.
I do, fellas. Absolute honour and a privilege to be here. It's a real pinch me moment. I absolutely love listening to you guys every week. Jordan, hopefully your head won't go so big, but your book was the first autism book that I read. I absolutely love it. I absolutely admire and respect what you both do, and I love the chemistry that you get together. And I can't believe that you've asked me, of all people, to kind of come on.
Well, your story. Well, thank you for a start.
No, that's very kind words. Yeah.
Really appreciate you you reading the book, and I'm so glad it had a positive impact. There's a lot of people involved in it. Well, it definitely wasn't just me, but it was a real fantastic experience creating something, and I'm so glad that it's being positive, just like this podcast. But the reason I suggested to Simon that you should be a guest is because obviously you were sending me things you were doing, and I get a lot of people sending me stuff, like a lot of people, and so most of the time I'm just trying to get the spoons to get through it. But your one really resonated with me, and I watched your documentary, which in general is pretty outstanding for me, because normally I'm just like PDA is like, I'm just like, no, I'm not somebody's asked me to do something, so I won't do it. But I did do it, and I'm really glad I did it, because the documentary was really good. And I was like, okay, this guy's been treated like crap, and that made me angry, as many things do. And I was like, okay, Simon, we need this guy to tell his story, because I will praise the NHS when they do a good job. I'm the first to do it. But at the end of the day, the NHS has so far to go before it starts recognizing actual neurodivergence and starts really helping neurodivergent people. And when I listened to your experience, it literally just highlighted what I've always thought. It's just, there is a core within the NHS that just does not understand autism, does not understand ADHD, does not understand neurodivergent conditions, and they definitely should. So thank you so much for coming and just, thank you for having the spoons to be able to do something like that.
Wow, that means so much to me. Really, really does. To hear it from you.
Oh, that's cool, dude. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't take. I give myself praise, but I don't take it very well. Yeah, I'm awesome. But if you say I'm awesome, I just
it's a very funny. Yeah, it's a wild experience to witness live.
It is very strange.
It really is. So, Anthony, what is your role currently in the NHS?
I'm a nurse associate, which a bit of an in-betweener. So I have a nursing degree, a foundation degree, sort of the same things as a registered nurse, but there's certain things I can't do. Somebody summed it up brilliantly. Basically, if a patient is being looked after by a registered nurse, it's sort of like flying with British Airways or Emirates. When you're with a nurse associate, it's sort of a patient's being cared for by a nurse associate. It's basically like flying with Ryanair or EasyJet. You're getting the same sort of care.
Okay.
But obviously, we don't get paid as much. Slightly less responsibilities, but we more or less do the same thing. So I am a registered healthcare professional. And so I do a lot of patient care, so medications, bloods, inhaler techniques, dressings, plaster casts, all sorts of stuff. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades within the NHS.
You're on the front line.
Oh God, yeah.
You're on the front lines, man.
on the front.
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Front
this is the thing. Yeah. So when people are, so I'm guessing you're in a accident and emergency if you're dealing with like medication and blood and things like that.
It's outpatients at the moment, but I've had lots of experiences on the wards. I've done A&E, I've done placements here, there, and everywhere. I've done mental health learning disabilities, care homes, so obviously part of placements and stuff. I've been where I am now, where I work for 2.5 years, so seen and done and witnessed quite a few things. So we're sort of on the front. Some good, some not great, some quite traumatic, but I love what I do and I love helping people. That's why I decided I wanted to do it, because I wanted to help people that needed to be helped rather than just help people like I used to do, like people with like loads of money and don't know what to do with it and feel like they can talk to you like somebody you've studied.
No, I just want to say thank you. Just for me, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the organisation of the NHS. I'm certainly not a big fan of the management of the way that they run it. But I will always appreciate, especially on the ground, frontline workers. You guys and girls, you're all heroes, as far as I'm concerned, especially during COVID. What you all did was phenomenal. I certainly wouldn't have put up with a lot of what you guys did. And I think the government absolutely let you all down and out there bloody clapping things like it was going to make any bloody difference. So, yeah, just amazing. Thank you so much to you and all your colleagues who do a great job every day. So, Anthony, you what are you? What are you? What, like, you at the end of the day, you're here because you're neurodivergent. How are you neurodivergent?
I've been a bit weird. I've been sort of obsessed with certain things. My specialist interests on like planes and trains and sort of thing. My specialist interests are Tottenham Hotspur, Louise Redknapp, Superman comics, or the DCEU, watching films, 80s films, 90s films, good music knowledge, all kind of different types of stuff. But I've kind of never sort of followed the trend sort of thing. I've sort of always been my own person.
So you're autistic?
Yes. Sum it up in one word.
Which is essentially what...
Yes.
Like that was one way of saying that you're autistic. I like that way.
Me too. Very much so.
So were you recently diagnosed?
I'm coming up to be 2 years in November. November 2022.
Okay, so when you...
Me too. Same time.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm old school. I was 37, something like that. Now
I was there when it was the Asperger's. Oh
my God, yeah, literally. I was there with the in brackets Asperger's.
Yeah, we're like the new wave, was me and Anthony.
So when you started training, with the NHS. How was that? Was that what, 2020?
I've been with the NHS since 2018. So I did sort of
Okay.
support worker roles, and I've sort of worked my way up, sort of thing. I ended up doing
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Done a few bits. I retook my maths and English GCSEs 22 years after I failed them at school and passed them, and got onto the training nurse associate apprenticeship and qualified.
That's really good, man.
And been qualified for 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, so many of us never really did what we should have done at school. I know me, I didn't walk out with particularly good GCSEs, and I have had to work my way up. So yeah, no, it's a hard slog, and we're often forgotten about. And you're of my gen. How old are you, Anthony?
42. So formally diagnosed at 40.
Oh, you're younger than me. You're younger than me, man. I'm old. I'm so old.
Aged wizard.
You use better moisturiser. I can tell that.
No, this is the crazy thing, is that my family, my wife is a skin expert. She's a beauty expert, and she has this amazing autistic. She says, "Oh, I'm not routine based," and I'm like, "Your entire beauty regime is routine based." And my kids will always say, "Oh, you should put something on your face," and I go, "I do. It's called soap." So yeah, if anybody would like to know why I look so young, soap and hot water, and yeah, and I don't know if you know that, but
old school,
cheaper than all the other rubbish.
Yeah, literally,
old school,
literally,
you
the
are
oldest of the old school.
Yeah, I clean my face with a pummel stone.
You've got one of those sort of big back scrubs like back in the 80s, and when your mum used to put Dettol in the bath.
Oh my God, no!
This is the see now. Jordan's understanding the northern experience of growing up in the 80s.
I had wash women, and a bit like in coming to America, they would just wash me.
Anthony will be similar to my dad. Oh, we only had a bathroom in my living room floor, and we'd all share same water every night. Not that my dad speaks like that, but yeah, no, very, very true, very, very true. So, I'm right in saying, Anthony, that you were diagnosed while you were studying?
No. 7 months afterwards.
Right, I'm wrong. Good to know. Right, afterwards. Okay, so so how did you come about to figure out, obviously, you've mentioned your special interests, and you said you've felt like an oddball. I'm sure our listeners that are listening to this will be all nodding their heads, because I know I certainly am. And, so what was the light bulb moment? What was when you went, I think I might be autistic?
When I was studying, that was the light bulb moment, because I was really, really struggling. I was doing everything that was being asked of me, but yet they were giving me more hoops to jump through. I seemed to be doing a lot more work compared to my peers who were doing the same course as me at the same time, same hospital, same university. I was constantly getting in trouble, summoned to meetings all the time. Just something wasn't right, and it was getting me anxious and upset and getting me down, and something wasn't right. Something wasn't sticking. And because I was getting in trouble all the time and summoned to meetings, and you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, constantly qualified experienced nurses constantly on my back all the time, that meant that I had to get union reps involved, and then the union rep said, well, maybe you're struggling because you're neurodivergent in some way. And she thought
it's sad to me that...
Sorry, mate.
Sorry, Anthony. I was saying, no, it's right. I was going to say it's sad to me that it takes a union rep who's not medically qualified, I'm going to guess, not medically trained, to recognise your neurodivergence, which after, just watching your documentary, you say in the documentary, oh, I don't look autistic, and I was going, yeah, you do.
I do. I know.
Because
I do.
because I I recognize, and the thing is autism doesn't have a look; it has nuances. It has nuances. So the way that you move your head, the way that your speech goes, the way in which you look, you look autistic, but you don't look autistic, if you know what I mean. Like, your behaviors to me were clearly that of an autistic person. And I've got a lot of experience in this field, a little bit, but you would have thought that your colleagues, the people teaching you, the people
medically
who were
trained.
actually medically trained, would have recognised neurodivergence a mile away. Because my experience with the NHS is that they absolutely don't, because unless they're trained properly, because training is unless they're trained properly, they're not going to recognise it, which is incredibly sad. And it put you through a lot of traumatic experiences that you didn't need to go through. And you're such a nice guy. It annoys me that you are seen in a negative way, because that's not you. That's the perception of their misunderstanding of autism, essentially, which is just bang out of order.
Which
is
shocking if you think about it. Which is shocking. These are qualified and experienced nurses and healthcare professionals who work for our NHS, and not a single one of them. Bear in mind, not only the ones that I worked with on placements and stuff, but the ones at university, because they're all qualified and experienced doctors and nurses and things. Nobody mentioned a thing.
Yeah.
It took a union rep to kind of give me that light bulb moment and think, maybe she's right. Maybe it's time to look and do something.
I've got to ask you, Anthony, what neurodivergence training did you learn when you were studying?
Oh, that's a good question.
NAFL.
Oh, that is the answer I was expecting.
Why do you think I mentioned it in the documentary? I did an interview for the Nursing Times that came out yesterday. Well, yesterday as we're recording, it might be a week, 2 weeks before it comes out, where I've just said,
I'll put the link in the description for anyone that's listening, so they can go and read it, because it's a fabulous article.
Just to do mandatory, just to include neurodiversity in the annual practice supervisor training, which every nurse, every midwife, every nurse associate, anyone that's on the NMC register has to do every year, so that it can support students and new employees coming in. Because I kind of did mine, and it said, like I say in the documentary, saying constantly being late, ringing in sick, overconfident, cocky, constantly making errors all the time. Says, where does it say potential neurodivergent? Doesn't say, it says bugger all. And if that was in there, then maybe someone who works for the NHS might have had that light bulb moment and thought, oh, maybe you are autistic, maybe you've got ADHD, or that you've got a neurodivergent condition. But nothing.
Yeah, because in a lot of workplaces and a lot of companies, they're not going to recognise it, because at the end of the day, that isn't part of their world. But whether I agree with it or not, and that is a personal opinion, it is a medical thing. Like, these are known as disorders or conditions. I don't like either of those words, but that is the facts, right? So on the NHS website, the other week, we went through the list of autism and ADHD. What did they call them?
I've erased it from memory, mate. I didn't need the information. I got rid of it.
I've not even looked at it, if I'm honest. I've not even looked at it.
Oh, God. You know what? I really need... here we go. Signs. Yeah, lovely. Great. Yeah. So the NHS signs of autism on their website, it's not a bad list. Like, we were going through it. I mean, it doesn't have any of the nuances, but essentially you're looking for they are looking for a medical condition. So they've got to tick the boxes, right? And like, how many boxes would you say you were ticking on that list? Because I know that we ticked a lot. So essentially, why don't the people who work for the NHS understand these things? Like, I know that not everyone's a doctor, even though the doctors don't know most of these things. And I know not everyone is trained in autism. But do you not think that it should be like a priority in order to at least help its own staff, if not patients, considering neurodivergence? One, it's vast. Like, there's so many different types of neurodivergence. But also, it means that we really struggle in situations where anxiety is just huge. And anybody that's in like that hospital or
high
emergency, high pressure situations.
Wow.
I telling you right now, I could not do
I couldn't do it.
do.
I couldn't
do it.
I can't even think about doing it.
It is
like it makes me feel a bit ill just even thinking about it.
It is. It's just when you walk in the corridor and you've got people shouting and screaming, and you've got babies crying and kids crying, and you've got
the smell, mate. The smell would do me.
The smell
just
of
alone.
sick, the smell of poo.
Ooh,
the smell of the overcooked bacon in the morning from the trolley. The porridge that just looks like wallpaper paste. Just sort of things.
So basically, a sensory nightmare is
For
what you're walking
people,
into for every day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're not even recognizing this, let alone making accommodations. They were just, and I maybe it's just me, but I sometimes I suspect that sometimes people actually do recognize it, but they don't want to say anything, because that way there's no excuse for their terrible behavior. Like they'll be like, oh, you know, the reason why I was so bad to Anthony is because Anthony's terrible, rather than, oh, Anthony really struggles, therefore the behaviors that he's presenting might seem terrible, but at the end of the day, if you actually recognize those behaviors are a reaction to his environment and not Anthony himself, but that's way too complicated for their thinking, because that means that it's them, that they're intolerant of you being you, rather than, oh, they're on their high horse. And I think most people like to be on their high horse, that, oh, I'm a better person. It's Anthony. Anthony's the problem. I'm amazing. And that cognitive dissonance is literally, it's a virus through the medical community of, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, because I think, like I say, I wanted to come into this profession to help people that needed to be helped. And I've kind of experienced it in work, and I've kind of seen it on social media as well, all these nurses who do the TikToks and stuff, where it's literally literally they sort of go up the ranks in the banding, so they'll maybe be nurse and then senior nurse, and then they'll get a sister's job and a matron's job and a manager's job, and it just goes to the head that they don't actually think about the reason why they came and did the job to be a nurse, to work in the NHS in the first place. It just seems to be about ego boosts and power trips and criticising, and just not sort of looking at solutions and like I say in the documentary, getting neurodivergent people to play to their strengths, whatever that might be. It might be working in a certain area, or only being worked till lunchtime, or doing night shifts because for some it might be a bit quieter for him. Well, because everybody's asleep, supposed to be asleep, or while you're working 2 or 3 days a week. It's better than doing something than just not doing anything at all. And yet, reasonable adjustments, which they're supposed to make for neurodivergent staff, doesn't always happen. Like some do, but others don't, because it doesn't meet. I mean, this is any workplace, so it doesn't meet business needs or service needs, and it's just wrong. It's going to cost employers, and like in particular, Microsoft NHS, more not doing anything than actually doing something about it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
We're probably losing some potentially fantastic, sisters and managers and nurses, because accommodations aren't being put in place to, let these people thrive. I mean, blimey, I can imagine working in a hospital or an accident and emergency centre. is difficult enough without, you know, adding in the complexities of, you know, sensory issues and feeling overwhelmed and high anxiety, and also trying to fit in a social setting. One of the things that I've learned as an adult is you always imagine if you go to hospital, no matter what, they'll help you. But at the end of the day, they're people. They go home, they're tired, they may not have eaten, and you don't sometimes always put the humanity on medical people. Like, you know, you think about police and stuff, you go, oh, they'll turn up, and then they don't. And you have that battle. But one thing that I'm interested in, Anthony, is when I listened to your documentary, the bit that pissed me off the most was how you were treated while you were studying. And specifically, you know, you're opening an email that is directed about you and shouldn't have been to you. That's something that I have experienced in my working life, and navigating that without knowing the tools of how to help yourself as a neurodivergent person is a goddamn minefield. But how has it changed since your diagnosis? Are accommodations being put in place for you? Are you getting the help so that you can go out and help other people?
Would be the answer. I've had a lot of great help from where I am now. If I wasn't for working where I moved to now, I wouldn't have been diagnosed with 3 hidden disabilities in the space of 7 months. I wouldn't have got the aftercare that I received, which happened through occupational health and mentorship through Autism Plus, which I get once a week, and counselling that I had, and sessions with some psychologists and peer support. That would not happen, and I wouldn't have sort of like certain equipment. So like I've got my own laptop, which is like got an orange tint to it because of my dyslexia and dyspraxia, which helps nice.
Oh, good tip.
And then, but then they'll only do certain things. So because again, they say because of business needs or service needs. So like things like shifts and like I said, like I can only work certain days. There's only certain days I can work because of childcare reasons or because of obviously, you know, I've only got so many spoons. So there's only so many hours that I feel that I can do before I go into sort of burnout and meltdown and shut down. But then it's sort of like, well, no, because we need somebody to work this day, or we need somebody to work till this certain time. And the long-term effects of that can be consequential to the neurodivergent person. So in terms of sort of like a health accent.
So they're happy to do on the surface what they are supposed to do, but when it goes to going that extra mile, no, it's just not happening. And it's not happening because they don't have to. And that's what really annoys me. I mean, a lot of places of work, they won't do things even when they do have to, and you have to fight, and you have to, I mean, we've talked about this many times, is that being neurodivergent is basically you have to become like a knight, just battling every day, like you have to become some warrior just to get the help and the access and the support that you're actually entitled to. There's actually charities out there, their whole thing is to help autistic, ADHD, dyslexic people get what they deserve from the companies they work for. Like no one should have to make an entire charity just to help people. People should just be helping us, because the benefit to helping us is that you will get an absolutely brilliant person doing that specific job if that's the thing they chose to do and that's what they want to do. And in a supportive environment, it's only going to be better for their business. NHS is a business. Let's not even pretend that it's not, right? It's going to be better, because if you take care of your people, they'll take care of you. They'll respect you. They'll want to go the extra mile. But if you're not providing the support mentally, not just on paper, but actual mentally supporting, then it's just going to end up being one problem after the other. I know it has been for me. I know it has been for Simon, and it looks like it is for you as well.
Yeah, the most difficult thing that I've learned since the diagnosis is getting support is actually harder than living without it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was something somebody said on my page. It was profound. It's like, what? Yeah,
it stuck with me so much.
Oh, yeah, that really messed with my head. The fact that you'd rather have no support than having to fight for the support that you are like meant to have.
Yeah, it's what you call your quote unquote rights, but this doesn't mean that it's right, is it?
So Do you see this sort of treatment of neurodivergent people, not just yourself? Have you witnessed it for other neurodivergent people, not their neurodivergence not being taken into account especially when it comes to their mental health?
I've had so many people kind of, because of the stuff that I've done, just come up to me and message me and saying, can fully relate to the things that I'm saying and to the documentary and the articles, because I've had many that said, well, I quit my degree, my nursing degree, I quit my job, I failed my nursing degree, and then 6 months later I found out that I was autistic. How many good workers, not just in the NHS, but just all the way across the board, have we lost because of that? Who have lost
too many.
Rock bottom on confidence because they've tried to pick themselves up to get into work, to make a contribution to society, and yet they're at home. And our lived-in experiences, particularly for me working in NHS, are vital to the profession, because we get people with autism and learning disabilities and ADHD and other neurodivergent conditions coming in all the time. And I think somebody said to me, who is neurodivergent, I'd rather have a nurse who's autistic look after me than somebody who isn't a neurotypical nurse.
Yeah.
It's becoming a culture. I mean, it's like I've worked in hair and makeup before, and I've known for a fact that people of colour prefer to have people of colour working on their hair. I am a big believer in that. If I need a mental health professional, I would like an autistic person. Yes, please and thank you. That would be great, because then I'm not going to waste the 5 out of the 6 sessions explaining why I am the way I am, so that they can understand it. I just need the help.
Because we get it.
I don't need to be interviewed, because you get it. There's no fluff. It's just, yep, I get it. It's like when Jordan was saying, the nuances since my diagnosis period, and I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, I'm sure you're the same. It's like a language. You can just see it. It's like I will talk to somebody and I know that they're autistic because I almost relax around them and I feel more myself. And it's like I had a friend mentioned to me the other day, they went, I went on a work thing and everyone was neurotypical, and it was the most painful thing in my life because I realized that everyone was the same except me. I'm sure you must find that really frustrating when you see people coming into the service and you can kind of see what they need. Are you in a place to be able to give autistic people the accommodations and help the need when you're trying to apply the service, or do you really have to stick to the the book, the code?
Made for anybody, and if I can do it on the spot, I will make that executive decision and do it on the spot. I did that a few weeks ago. There was a lady there, was taking her bloods. Could kind of see she had the autism badge on, and she had some headphones. I said, right, put your headphones on, put some on you want to listen to, and I'll crack on. And she was so grateful that I just recognised that. I recognised her badge. And I did say to her afterwards, I saw your badge and I get it because I am one of you too.
Which is a nice, because obviously the world's scary, right? We can all agree on that. And when you've been traumatized and bullied and treated like crap most of your life, the world is even more scary. And then the world is loud, and the world is bright, and the world is busy, and then it's even more scary. And then you'll go, and then you're ill, and you feel bad, and something's happened to you, and you're even more scared. And you're in a hospital, there's strangers, all those things we talked about, the sensory experience, and you're even more scared. So at the end of the day, you're going to end up with neurodivergent people in very vulnerable situations who are terrified. And I've been one of those people in hospital, just terrified of everything around me. And when you have a nurse or a doctor or even a paramedic who is just kind, to you, it for me personally, it's always just made so much difference in that experience that it's still not enjoyable, but it makes it more bearable.
You feel seen, definitely.
Yeah, you do feel seen, and so many of us we just don't. So it's great that you're doing that, but what Yeah, so I'm going to ask, what sort of accommodations are you seeing for patients? Like, obviously, you're saying that you never really had any training on autism or any ADHD or dyslexia or any conditions. If there's no training, so these things aren't recognized, because at the end of the day, some lady might not have a badge or a lanyard because they might not even know.
They might not even want to wear it.
That's the crazy thing. And they might not want to wear it. Yeah, it's a personal choice. So, like, are you seeing any changes? Are you seeing any positives that we can we actually think of anything good to say?
I mean, in the last 12 months, there have been some improvements. I mean, the Oliver McGowan training is now coming to force. So, which is literally mandatory.
Yep, I was, sorry, go on.
That's like mandatory training for anybody that works in the NHS supporting patients with autism and learning disabilities, which is, I think, is a really positive start.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the NHS and healthcare has got a long way to go because they've got to play catch up. And as there's more people being late diagnosed, like ourselves, there's going to be more autistics and more ADHDers and more neurodivergent people, and they're going to need the support. And we need to, and the NHS needs to not be lagging behind as such. That's why I've kind of mentioned about as well. Now it's great that we've got something to kind of support patients. We need the same for staff.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I do wonder, what do you think needs to happen, Anthony, for it to be taken seriously, for it to be recognised? What do you think is going to be the thing that we can do as a community and as a culture to get it through to them?
Give it a kick up the backside.
But what can we do? Yeah.
Apart from that, I think we just need to start. We just need to keep fighting. We need to put us neurodivergent boxing gloves on and keep fighting for what we deserve. That we need the support. We're human. Yes, we're neurodivergent and we've got hidden disabilities, but we're human beings at the end of the day, and we've got equal rights as just to anybody else. And certain things,
yeah, absolutely,
even the small things can make a massive, massive difference. And I always like to treat people the way that I want to be treated. And like I said, having people there, whether it's the NHS, whether it's at college, whether it's at McDonald's, having lived-in experiences can be vital to the workplace.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is that I mean, it's good that you were asked to do this documentary. I don't know if it was a box ticking exercise and they were like, oh, we need one of them to do it, because at the end of the day you ended up having to do the documentary yourself, even though it was your work that asked you to do it, and they didn't provide any actual help for it, which was brilliant. But you took it upon yourself to make it, you know, professional with a friend of yours, which I think is really, really good. Like you put a lot of effort into it. So I do recommend anybody to go and watch that documentary on YouTube. We will put a link.
Yeah, we will share it as well.
Yeah, because it, like I said, it's powerful, and our stories do need to be told, and not just so a company looks good. Like, oh, we're doing something. You know,
it's not for LinkedIn,
be like
is it?
that. No, it shouldn't be for LinkedIn. It shouldn't be for companies. It should be because people actually care, which is very rare. And that's what upsets me, I think, the most, is that, you know, you're saying that people are slipping through the cracks because, you know, they're turned away from working in the NHS. And I don't think there's many people that go, do you know what I want to do for a living? Because I want to buy myself a McLaren F1. I'm going to go and work in the NHS. No, you're doing it because you care. You're doing it because you want to make a difference. You're doing it for the same, but to a greater extent, the same reason that we do this podcast, the same reason we advocate, is because we want to make a difference. And the other question is that I was going to ask is, since your diagnosis, like how confident were you, considering you are surrounded by the medical community, how confident were you to actually say to people, oh, I am autistic, considering that for me, there's that side. If you don't tell people, then you got, I've been through so many disciplinaries in my work because of the way that I would talk to people or the way I would act, or I wouldn't take things on the chin. And like my neurodivergence got me into a lot of trouble because of the misunderstanding and the miscommunication. But then there's that other side of like, oh, if you go and say to people you're autistic, they infantilize you completely. They just go, oh, well, then, you must be one of those little Timmies in the corner.
You must be Rain Man.
And yeah, or some other ridiculous stereotype that they're going to have in their head, that now suddenly, oh yeah, you aren't the problem because of this, but now you're the problem because of this. So either way, they're going to look at you like you're a problem. Either you're a problem. Yeah. You're either a problem because you don't communicate properly, or you don't act neurotypical because they don't know you're neurodivergent, or you're a problem because you are neurodivergent, therefore you act different and you don't communicate properly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but it's a different way of them treating you like crap. Did you actually find that, or did you not tell people?
I told people straight away. I thought,
cool. Wow, that's great.
I thought the problem me being autistic rests on the shoulders of others. It's part of who I am. I said it in the documentary. I said it previously. For me, being autistic is a badge of honor. And if that's an issue for other people, tough.
Yeah.
Preach. That's one of the things I really liked about the doc is your owning it. I love that, because it took me a really long time to get there, Anthony.
I think.
But were you infantilized?
Infantilized.
Treated like a child.
Like
they're like, you're autistic. Oh, and like the day before you told them, they were like, "Hi, Anthony, how's it going?"
It was like,
and then you tell them, and then you're like, "Oh, hi, Anthony, how's it going?"
It's like,
you're
whoa,
right, you're right, buddy.
It was like,
you're right, buddy.
It was like, well, what do we do now, sort of thing. When I was telling people, what do we do? How is he able to do this? Is he still able to do that? We need to refer him to Rocky Health, which is what was the recommendations anyhow. But it was like, well, we can't do anything, so we'll just put you back as supernumerary for a bit till we find out what we need to do. But when they knew all along that was happening, so it literally, I was open and honest about it all the way to management and things. But it's like once it happened, it was like, oh, what do we do now? And it sort of took a few months for things to be put in place and to be redeployed and things, to finally start obviously coming out of the other side of it and trying to say, well, where can we fit him in, and what things can he do, and how can he help us within that department or within the hospital. And like I say, I seem to be doing like more and more things, and the advocacy work, like I say, which has ultimately resulted in a documentary. I mean, at home, I'm still me. I'm still dad. I'm still self-proclaimed trophy husband. I've still got my qualifications. Nothing's changed. But I am aware what the outside world perceives me as, because I am autistic. But, and I think like part of the documentary was for me that I don't need to kind of tell my story anymore now. It's up there. So if you want to know my story, make a cup and get a can. Here's a YouTube link, spend 20 minutes on that. As I said, me being autistic rests, if that's a problem, then that's a problem that rests on your shoulders.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it always does concern me, because this whole perception of, because essentially we do have childlike thinking, which is the beauty for me. That's the beautiful part of being the alternative neurotype, is that we do have that lack of synaptic pruning. For me, it's a wonderful thing, as long as you embrace it and it's not mocked or put down, because that can really hurt people. So I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, and I think it's really great. Welcome to the world of advocacy. I feel like I'm on my way out because it's been so long. I can hand the baton over to others now, and it's like, just you crack on, and it's great to see so many people being inspired by others to then do it, because then you can inspire others to do it, and then you can inspire others to do it, and so on and so forth. So yeah, just for everyone listening, don't be afraid to tell your story. Anthony did it, and we can all do it. We just hope people listen. I think that's the other thing, is getting people to care enough, because the bad side to the medical model of autism is that it is just looked at as like, oh, this is the thing that's bad, this is the thing that's wrong with you, and now we have to deal with it. And I think more and more people need to understand that, like, an autistic nurse is going to be far more detailed. They're going to see things that others can't. They're going to see the problems in the system and point them out to their manager, who's just not going to care, which is the opposite to what should be happening, because they should be listening to autistic people, because autistic people can improve things if you just care what they say. So yeah, I think that's the next step, is just getting them to care. So yeah, good luck.
Well, they've got to. It's part of the job.
I'm fresh out of spoons.
I think I am as well. I'm sort of. I think I need to take a granddad nap.
Yeah, welcome to podcasting, Anthony. We will go and spark out just after this. So if we're all fresh out of spoons, then I think we will naturally wrap up there. Let me play the trumpet.
Sometimes when I do dumb things, I remember there are people who believe the earth is flat, and I realized at least I'm not that dumb.
Right, that's a good one. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you everybody for listening today, and Anthony, thank you for coming on and speaking with us, because I'm sure from medical professionals to autistic advocates to just regular folk that are listening to this will have taken so much from what you've said today, because I know that I have. And if you've enjoyed this episode, or you've enjoyed listening to Anthony's story, the link to the Unmasking Man documentary will be in the link, and I'll also share it on our social media pages as well. So please go and give it a watch, because it is brilliant. Yes, thank you, Jordan. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this episode, guys, as always, please check it out, or the other episodes. Give it a like, give us a subscribe, keep in touch with us and what we're doing on social media at the Neurodivergent Pod. And if you've seen the little cuddly monkey in the back of Jordan's video, then that means that you've seen our merch. So please go and check it out at Dolly's Daydream Cheshire, on our links in all the descriptions below. If you want to buy a little t-shirt or a hoodie, it helps us keep doing what we're doing. So
it's an ape, not a monkey.
Oh no, I got it wrong again. That's because you can't.
I hate everyone now.
Okay, sorry about that, Anthony. Yeah. Sorry that I've ruined everything by calling an ape a monkey. Monkey name.
It has been awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. It's been an honour and a privilege. No. Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me.
No. Welcome, dude.
Welcome. You're more than welcome. Right, everybody. Till next week. A goodbye.
Bye.